Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the match between FC Barcelona and Athletic Club. This is going to be a game where Barcelona is going to be playing at home. And finally we are seeing Barcelona play at home after seeing a total of 8 games being played away in 2021. Barcelona is finally playing at home, and it feels great to say that because I feel like we have not played at home for in years. And I know for a fact that when Barcelona does play at home, especially after a while, it is going to be a huge advantage for these Barcelona players. And looking at this year overall, so far in January in 2021, looking at this Barcelona right now, this is a Barcelona where we are finally starting to see the beginning of what Koeman is trying to do with this team. Yes, we have experienced some setbacks. We have seen Koeman do this one thing that it really frustrated many of us throughout this year so far, but there is also many positive things to take away from what Koeman has been trying to implement in this Barcelona team. We have seen Pedri transform into one of the most important players for this club. We have seen De Jong refine his role and scoring more goals than he has ever scored with Ajax in his career. We have seen Dembélé become much more fit, being much more lethal. We have seen Antoine Griezmann become way more productive, and we also have Ronald Araujo, who is slowly becoming one of the best center backs not only in Barcelona but in the world. And accumulating all of this, seeing the renovation of this new Barcelona, now that we're going to be facing against Athletic Club, these players that I have just named, those are the players that do need to step up in order for Barcelona to perform much better. It is no longer just about Lionel Messi. It is not just about one player. This team has delivered great results without Lionel Messi, and we can continue to do that with players such as Pedri, De Jong, Dembélé, Antoine Griezmann, and Ronald Araujo. This is a team. And I want to focus on Athletic Club just for a second, but I also believe that what's also going on in that team is very special. And we have to keep in mind that this is a new Athletic Club. The new coach that was appointed is named Marcelino Garcia, who has been doing a superb job with Athletic Club since he has started with this team back in the beginning of January. As a matter of fact, his debut as a coach for this team was in that match between Athletic Club and FC Barcelona, where Barcelona did beat Athletic Club 3-2. And looking at the schedule here, you can see that ever since that loss that they have taken, Athletic Club have not lost not once so far in the Super Cup or the Copa del Rey or La Liga. And so Barcelona is going to have to be 100% going up against a strong Athletic Club side. And also looking at where they're at currently in the league table, it can be very deceiving because the only reason why they are that low, it is because they did have a coach before where he was not doing a great job with the players, and that is why they're sitting there today. But if you were to face them now or tomorrow, they would not look like a 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th place team within La Liga. And there's literally nothing worse than facing a team that's currently going on the uphill. You look at how Bayern Munich was struggling in the beginning of last year and slowly started to go uphill ever since Flick did take charge of that team. And Athletic Club are going the exact same way, but obviously in a lower division. So one of the key elements that has been shown under Marcelino with Athletic Club is that he really does like to utilize the right wingers, the right backs, the left backs, and the left wingers. That is where all of the effect does come from, which basically means that this is a team that does very well in crosses into the box and in set pieces. That is their strength. That is what they want and what they're going to want to show up against Barcelona in tomorrow's night's match. And coincidentally enough, one of the greatest weaknesses Barcelona has shown so far in this season were coming from crosses from the opposition or a set piece coming from the opposition. As a matter of fact, looking at the previous match between Athletic Club and FC Barcelona, most of the goals that Athletic Club did score, whether it was a valid or invalid goal, they did come from a cross or a set piece. And as we did analyze those goals that Barcelona has conceded, one of the 2 players that has been exposed from that defensive line was Longley and Jordi Alba, 2 players who were just not comfortable with defending set pieces or any crosses that Athletic Club were distributing either from the right wing or the left wing. And Koeman has addressed it. Koeman knows exactly how his defensive line does react towards those type of things coming from the opposition. And he said this in the pre-match press conference, and I quote, "It is important to set marks because it is a quality that Athletic Club has and that gives it a lot of confidence. They have a lot of people who are doing well at the top and we will have to defend very well." And so here's the thing, I do think that Koeman does need to change something within the starting 11, because what we did see in that previous match, there were some elements of the old Barcelona that we did see in the 2019 and 2020 season, or the 2018-2019 season, meaning that in those very last few minutes. The defensive line could not keep up with the constant attack, and eventually they did end up choking. You look at how Jordi Alba let those goals down in those last minutes. You look at how Longley was getting very nervous within those last 20 minutes and couldn't defend a set piece. And if Koeman is aware of what's going on with this team, he would change something immediately going up against Athletic Club tomorrow. And so before we do get into that starting 11, I do want to address some players. Sergio Busquets is not going to be in this game. He is going to be out, and the only reason why he will be out, it is because he has accumulated many yellow cards to the point where he is going to be missing the next La Liga match, which will be up against Athletic Club. And then as for Sergio Roberto, there has been questions whether he's going to be appearing in this match or not, or maybe even appear in the squad list. And it says here, and it is official, Sergio Roberto is working with the group as per usual and should be in the list tomorrow, barring any surprises. And they have also explained how Serginho Dest is still not 100% and was not training with the group. That is not a surprise. We should not expect Dest to return in tomorrow's night's match, and we could see him within the next match. But I do want to focus on Sergi Roberto and Busquets, because if we're going to hear that Sergio Roberto is going to be in and Busquets is going to be out, I do expect a very different starting 11 coming from Koeman. So here's going to be my predicted starting 11. We're probably going to see Marc-Andre ter Stegen in goal. Our defensive line is going to be Jordi Alba as our left back, then have Samuel Umtiti and Ronald Araujo as our center back pairing. I'm going to be very honest, I do not trust Longley right now. He has been completely reckless within that defensive line. He hasn't been able to cope on a 1v1, and he hasn't been able to do any great aerial duels when the ball is in the air. And knowing that his height is like 6'2", 6'3", I just don't see the reason why Longley should be put in the starting 11. So I'm going to go with Samuel Umtiti as the main pairing alongside Ronald Araujo. Then as for our right back, this is where things get very complicated. The reason why I want to put Mingueza as the right back is because if we put Sergio Roberto as the right back in that defensive line, who is going to be playing as that central defensive midfielder? And that is the biggest question, because many are going to say, why don't we put Pjanic in that central defensive midfield role? And look, I'm not trying to discredit Pjanic as a player, but he is not capable to play as a defensive midfielder in Barcelona. If we put Pjanic as the central defensive midfielder, you're asking for suicide. You're asking to get ran through in the midfield, because Pjanic is not a central defensive midfielder. Pjanic has always been and will forever be a interior. And if you think that Pjanic could be that central defensive midfielder, then you're lying to yourself. You have not seen Pjanic enough. Pjanic is a world-class player as a interior, but as a central defensive midfielder, Barcelona are going to kill themselves, and Athletic Club are going to know that, and they're going to completely run through Pjanic like if he's not there in the first place. Pjanic cannot bring those defensive qualities or bring as much recoveries like Busquets does bring on the field. And that is why I'm going to place Mingueza as the right back. And as for the central defensive midfield role, I am going to be placing Sergio Roberto to fill in that role, because if you cannot bring those defensive qualities, we should have a player that can control the ball and recover the ball as soon as possible. Sergio Roberto does have experience on doing that. He has been playing with Busquets long enough and knows exactly what it takes to play within that role, so it does make sense. And then as for the interiors of this midfield, it is going to be Frenkie de Jong and Pedri. Again, keep in mind, we could put Frenkie de Jong as the central defensive midfielder, but it would make no sense to put de Jong in that role when de Jong has been showing his best and his class as an interior midfielder. There is no reason to remove that attacking presence away from Barcelona. De Jong has to play as the interior up against Athletic Club. And then as for our front three, I do expect to see Antoine Griezmann as the left winger, Messi as the center forward, and Dembele as the right winger. Now, some other key points I do want to make is that later in the match, depending on how it goes, maybe around the 70th minute, if Barcelona is winning, I would like to see Pjanic come in for Sergio Roberto, have de Jong shift as a central defensive midfielder, and then have Pjanic work as a interior. The other very important key point about this starting 11 is going to be about Dembele. I do think that Dembele is going to be key on how Barcelona is going to be attacking, because the goals that Barcelona has scored against Athletic Club in the previous match, they came from the presence of Dembele. Now, what does that mean? It basically means this. Looking at the first goal, you can see that Barcelona were going down on the right. Athletic Club were very focused on Barcelona's right side because they knew that Dembele can cause damage, and because Athletic Club were so focused on what was going on Barcelona's right side, it allowed Jordi Alba to be free on the other side. And that is why Messi did pass it to Jordi Alba, because he had all the space in the world to cause damage, and that is how we did score our first goal. And then going into the second goal, you can see that Athletic Club continued to be focused on players such as Dembele, who they know are very well aware that he can cause damage, so they put all their focus on him. But this time, instead of switching the play from Barcelona, they continue to create between Jordi Alba and Dembele, and as they create between Jordi Alba and Dembele, they pass it easily to Antoine Griezmann and they scored a goal. So it's almost like Athletic Club is going to be having a lot of trouble adjusting to the way Dembele does play, because if they put all their focus on Dembele, he can still cause damage. If they don't put their focus on Dembele and they're worried about what's going to go on our left side or right side, Dembele is going to be free and he is going to cause damage. And that is why I do say that Dembele can be key in this game. But that's going to be it for today's Barcelona pre-match preview. I want to remind everyone here that if you made it at the end of the video, the last thing I do want to say is this: Real Madrid did lose. They have lost against Levante, which ended in a 2-1 loss for Real Madrid, which basically means that Barcelona are now 3 points behind Real Madrid, with Real Madrid having 1 game in hand. So there is a very big possibility that Barcelona could go in second place very, very soon. And it's very, very exciting because we would have never thought that Barcelona were going to get this close right next to Atletico Madrid. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video.